Namaskar. Hello, everyone. Recently, I read a news where it was mentioned that India stands second in having the highest number of children suffering from obesity, that is, being overweight. Now, how is this trend started? How come that our children have come into this category of being overweight? First, China, second, India, and we have surpassed America. So, this is a very big problem because the generation that is going to look into the future of our country in the coming 20 to 30 years, if are obese right now, so their health needs to be checked right now. Parents, we have to be very careful that when we are looking into the primary ages of our children, when they're in that age group of 2 years to 5 years, the chubbiness, the cuteness of the child is, of course, welcome. As the child grows up, he loses the puppy fat also, but sometimes it sticks on and then it gets very difficult to lose. So, we have to be very particular that right from the beginning, as we wean off the child from mother's milk, what are we feeding the child? Most of the parents who are working and have no time generally switch over immediately to the tinned food, which is fine if some parents have been suggested by doctors or by the pediatricians. But generally, in our Indian homes, it is the home cooked food that we feed our children. Whatever we eat at home, whatever we cook at home, with less spices, with less of oil and fat, that is given to the child. Whenever we make khichdi, dalia, putting all the vegetables inside that, adding a little bit of desi ghee, always is the additional diet of the child. Whenever we make so when we give, say, boiled potatoes mashed with a little bit of salt and again desi ghee, when we are giving mashed fruits, the fruits can be soft boiled, made into a pulp and fed to the child. So we are giving cereals in the form of suji, in the form of dalia. When we give khichdi, pulses are being added. So we are looking all into the carbohydrates, into the proteins, and into the fats of the toddler. As the child grows beyond the age of 5, now he has to come into proper diet. So when the child comes into the proper diet, because now his physical activities is increasing, so now whatever food is being served on the table needs to be given to the child, literally everything. This is the time when we have to understand that what we are getting the child hooked onto. As we keep introducing processed food, as we keep introducing the different varieties of packed food, this is where the danger creeps in, because our children are getting into the obese factor because of foods being introduced into the diet, that is the processed food, too much of sugary drinks, beverages that have too much of sugar content, and again no physical activity. I remember once I was traveling, and this I had taken a train from Delhi to Bangalore, and there was a couple, young couple, and they were traveling with their two little kids. One was very small, so that child was not having any issue regarding his eating. The other one was, I think, about, you can say, 3 years old, 3.5 years old. And the whole time, the meals that were being consumed by the parents, the child did not partake any of that meals. Whenever they sat down with the plate to eat something, the mother and father, they handed one chips packet to the child. So the child was busy watching games on the mobile and eating that chips packet. And all through the journey, that means at one night, the next day, and the early morning, we reached Bangalore. During all this time, the child was just eating chips and some drinks from packed Tetra packs. So now, why? If this is the type of diet that the parent is introducing to the child, so where will the child get that natural immunity? Where will the child get that physical strength of looking into every of his daily activities? So parents, we have to be very particular of what we are feeding the child. We have to bring him to the normal routine, whatever is cooked at home, be it your North Indian, South Indian, whichever part of India you are, whatever is your daily diet, that diet has to be introduced to the child. Generally whenever someone will tell to the parent that your child is very thin, कि आपका बच्चा तो बहुत कमजोर है, बहुत पतला है, the parents go into a panic thing कि पतला है हमारा बच्चा, immediately they go to the doctor कि भाई he everyone tells our child to be thin. The first question the doctor will ask you that is your child active? You will say yes. Is the child participating in all his activities? You will say yes. Then it is fine. There is nothing wrong with the child. So being thin is not being weak or being unhealthy, as long as the child is actively participating in everything. Some have a tendency of being lean and thin, and some have a tendency of being chubby. But remember that we cannot make a child chubby by feeding him extra, by feeding him more and more. More the food you give to the child makes him fat in a very unhealthy way. Let the child eat food, whatever is there as per his hunger, as per is the demand of his body. So you are not force feeding the child. When you are not force feeding the child consumes whatever he takes. There is another problem that parents face, that my child does not eat anything. Because of course we keep on giving options to the child. I remember I had gone to someone's house and in breakfast, suppose there are aloo ke parathe for breakfast, and the mother is asking her son ki kya khaoge. So she's not asking him aloo ke parathe, she's asking him sandwich khaoge, poha khaoge, burger bana दूं, ढोकला बना दूं, because she knows her son is not going to eat aloo ka paratha. So she's giving him all the options. When we stop giving options to our children, do our children stick to the food that is being cooked and served at the table? And this has to start right from the beginning, because when we start giving options, that starts the rolling of that, you can say, snowballing of that issue, that always whatever is prepared the child will not eat, but will demand for something that he wishes at that particular time. And this can be a very tedious task for the mother, to always prepare something special for the child, because the child is not going to eat what is being served at the table. So let us make our child get into the habit of eating whatever is being served at the table. And this starts right from the beginning. Of course, he will get slowly hooked on to this chips and the burgers and pizzas and pastas. But let us see how we can cut them down. We cannot eliminate it from their diet, because it has become a part and parcel of almost everyone's household. So let us see how we can reduce it. So let us begin those at the early stage only, so that how the child gets adapted to. And never worry about your child being lean and thin, because being healthy is more important. Being thin is not a problem. But if your child is on the overweight side, always see that there are some measures that you take, so that your child gets into the physical activity more, he runs more, and does not play games on the video at all times, or sits and watches the TV or the mobile. His physical activity has to be increased more. So the more he increases his physical activity, he will use more of the fat that has been stored inside his body. Because once you grow into your teens, it becomes very difficult for your body to lose the fat that is there. And we need children who are going to be healthy. And who are going to make them healthy? It is the mom and the dad who is going to make them healthy. So let us keep a routine of having healthy food at home. Let us keep a routine where everyone sits at the table and enjoys the food that is cooked by the mother. Yes, sometimes eat outs are there. It will always be part and parcel of our life. So let us enjoy that also. And as long as we are going to be healthy, we are going to enjoy that food also. So parents, never get worried that your child is thin. So people comment on your child कि ये तो बहुत पतला है या ये तो बहुत पतली है. It's all right. That is the body type that you are in. And gradually you might gain weight also. But do not have unnecessarily overweight. Do not be overweight and obese. Once I was even traveling, once I was going to Amritsar, and I remember I was in Shatabdi, and it was the chair car, and literally all the children I saw in that compartment were all overweight. Literally every one of them. And when I went to the city and when I was visiting my relatives here and there, and I realized that in every home that I went, uh, cold drinks were being served. It had almost become a tradition of cold drinks being served. So we are adapting habits that are not part of our culture. Let us adapt habits, let us adapt food habits, especially that are part of our culture. We should be having, drinking those things, consuming that food that is locally grown, that are part of our culture, so that we can have a generation that is healthy and looking after themselves and living a long and happy life, so that they are the ones who can take our country forward. So let us be very conscious of what we put on the table, on the plates of our kids. It has to be healthy, it has to be homemade, and it has to be made by the mother, so that, and the father, so that the child is brought up in that cocoon of love and care. Thank you so much. Never worry about your child as long as you are there to look after your child. Thank you so much.